The last time the federal government attempted a public-private partnership embracing the entirety of the American society, as they're doing now with Obamacare, was 1934, when Franklin Roosevelt set up the NRA, the National Recovery Administration, which was the centerpiece of his effort to extract the country from the Great Depression. And I think it's interesting to examine the parallels between that and Obamacare and the fate of the NRA, which may well be the fate of Obamacare. The concept behind the NRA was that prices were dropping, and that deflation was causing wages to drop, buying power to drop, and was the cause of a downward spiral that had afflicted the American economy. And they were right in that diagnosis. We lost almost half of our GDP. But its solution was ridiculous. Its solution was inflation by individual price fixing in individual industries. It was voluntary because you couldn't make it constitutional if it wasn't. But businesses would sign up for it, and then they would agree to abide by fixed pricing and wage standards that would increase and fight the deflationary trend. And any business that accepted this code would put an eagle, a decal of an eagle, in its store window. And the eagle became the symbol of the NRA and really the symbol of the New Deal. And when the program launched with much fanfare, every business proudly had the eagle in its window, and people vowed not to shop at any business that didn't have it. Then the business came up, the difficulty of formulating codes for every single business in the United States. You needed thousands of different codes for each business, understanding the complexity of the cost of goods and of services and the markup and allowable profits and taxes, and it became an absolute nightmare. Codes were not generated on time, they were inaccurate, they applied one business's code to another inadvertently, and the screw-ups became so legendary that the NRA fell into disrepute. People would laugh at it. They'd see it as an agency that absolutely didn't know what the hell it was doing. It became a symbol for government incompetence. Finally, some guys who raised chickens in Brooklyn, the Schechter brothers, challenged its constitutionality, and the Supreme Court overthrew it, killed the program. And Roosevelt hollered about it, but it was really a mercy killing because the program was giving the administration a bad name. Now, those glitches are very similar to the glitches that we're finding in Obamacare. This inability to administer a large program affecting the entirety of the United States with different benefit packages for different people in different groups, now administered with a computer, is also proving beyond the administration's ability to mount or to regulate. And I think that some of the challenges that are going on to the legality of the program might result in a mercy killing. The one I'm thinking of in particular is a challenge initiated by Oklahoma and now joined by states Virginia and Indiana, and some action in the District of Columbia. This is not a constitutional challenge. Judge Roberts resolved that. But it's a statutory challenge. The language of the Obamacare statute is very explicit. It says to be eligible for a subsidy, you have to get insurance through a state-created health care exchange. And there are only about 14 of them in the country. They didn't realize when they wrote that states would refuse to set it up and that the feds would have to step in and set up their own exchanges. And there is no provision in the law for subsidies to go to anyone that got insurance through anything other than a state-created exchange. So that leaves 34, 36 of the states high and dry. And these states are challenging in their own state and saying, hey, we don't have a state exchange. We're challenging the right of the federal government to grant these subsidies in our state. And if there are no subsidies, there's no affordable health care. And if there's no affordable health care, there can't be a fine or a mandate. And the whole thing collapses. And district courts in all 4 jurisdictions, or 3 of the 4, the 4th hasn't ruled yet, have upheld the standing of the state to sue and turned aside government motions to dismiss the case. And these people are now applying for summary judgment, the plaintiffs. And it'll probably reach the Supreme Court by the fall of 14. And that could be the Schechter-Poulter case that puts the administration into and out of its agony over this ridiculous process. Thanks for watching.